How's it going, ladies and gents? Welcome back to another video in the potting shed. This is the Portulacaria Afra bonsai update. As you can see, things are going well and it's looking fairly healthy. All right, okay, you're probably not buying that. And I don't blame you, it's not the same one. I couldn't resist myself, guys. Listen, I've got a problem. I can't resist buying nice plants. And let me tell you a story. I was in a garden centre quite away from my house this weekend with my wife, and I'd already picked up a few plants, and I saw this one. It was quite a bit of money. It was like £30, something like that. And I walked past it and thought, no, I've already bought some things. I'm not going to buy that. And when I got home, I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I thought, you know what? You really don't see these Portulacaria Afra in the UK very often at all. In fact, I've never seen one in a shop. The one that I've got, I bought from the internet, and I've yet to see one. And certainly if there was one this size and with this thickness of the trunk, it would be £30 to £50 online. It really is quite a specialist thing. Now, it might just be in my area, you don't see them very often. Maybe they do come up more often elsewhere, but certainly I never see them. And I thought to myself, you know what? I might not see one like this for a very long time. So the very next day, I drove all the way back, about an hour and a half away, to this garden centre just to buy this, because I thought, you know what, I'm doing a Portulacaria Afra series at the moment anyway, and it's going to be a while before my cutting is going to be this sort of size. So this will be a useful thing to be able to give some examples on pruning and reducing the canopy and shaping and things like that. So that was my excuse anyway, and my one is the variegata, so let's bring that one in now. And yes, it's still a little bit smaller than that one. It has actually been growing well. It's got some new branches on it, and obviously it's still we're coming out of the winter here, and there's not massive growth at the moment. It's not that warm, and we don't get huge amounts of sunshine. I expect this to push on quite a bit in the next summer season. And I've got to tell you, I've got to be honest with you, I did take a cutting from this, which you may remember from the first video, and it didn't make it. It really did not. It was not happy. I don't know what it was, but it just did not root. And eventually it ran out of water and turned into a twig, which is a real shame. They're supposed to be the easiest things to propagate as well, so I'm a little bit ashamed of that. But we've still got the main plant. I'll let this grow nice and big, and then see about taking another cutting, because it doesn't really lend itself to a bonsai shape at the moment. It's quite stubby with lots of little things here, and it's been cut here, so the height is never going to be much more than this really. So, you know, we'll see how it grows. It might develop. It's got a few on top there. It might be enough that it develops and carries on growing and we can get some height out of it, but we'll see how we go. But you know, this is going to be a long-term project, and for you guys, I'm sure you won't want 8 to 12 months in between updates where nothing has really been going on apart from a bit of growth. So this one hopefully will give us an opportunity to do some more updates on the series, but this will still be the project. I'm still going to grow this into a bonsai tree, so you can certainly follow along with your one. But in the meantime, I can do some other videos in the series with this slightly bigger one. Its shape isn't bad at all, actually. We've got a branch here sticking right out of the front, which isn't doing anything really. I mean, you could have a lower branch down there, I suppose, but I don't really think it's going to add a lot, just one on its own. I think it's going to look better as a clean trunk, and then the canopy coming out there more balanced rather than that on its own. So I'll probably be taking this out and doing some pruning. There's some longer branches here which I'll be cutting back, so I'll do a separate video on that one in terms of a little bit of shape once it's had a bit of time to quarantine and settle into the house. I've only had it a couple of days, but I'm quite pleased with it actually, and I think it is a good investment. It's already got some decent width on the trunk, and it's swelling already here. The growing medium doesn't feel particularly good. It was saturated when I picked it up. I think someone had just watered it, and you know, I'm a little bit concerned about that because they don't really want to stay too wet, so I'll monitor that May have to do an emergency repot if it doesn't dry out anytime soon. But in the meantime, the purpose of this update is to really show you how we're getting on with this one. As you can see, it's looking happy and healthy, but there's no need to have it in this nursery pot now. It's a relatively small amount of soil which will be drying out a bit quicker. So what I'm going to do is put it in a slightly bigger pot to give it a bit more room to grow, and also have a little bit more soil-based medium just to hold on to the water a little bit longer. It's not, I don't want it soggy like this one, but this is really in a cactus mix and the water just goes straight through it, which is great for some plants, but I don't want to be watering it 3 or 4 times a week in the summer because it's going to be on a sunny windowsill. So I think a slightly better medium. I've got a bonsai mix all ready to go, so I think I'll use that on this one. So this video is going to be a repot of this one. We can have a look at the roots, and I just wanted to introduce its bigger non-variegated cousin here, which I'm quite pleased about. So let's see what we can do with the pot. Now I've been thinking about this. Obviously this is just a normal plant pot, and as it's going to be a bonsai one day, I thought, why don't we put it in a pot like that? It's about the same depth soil wise, it's hard to tell, but it's about the same depth where the soil is already, but obviously you've got a lot more width there, so you're going to have a lot more soil in the pot when we get it in there. So let's get him out of the pot and see what he looks like. So I've got my bonsai soil over here. I quite often make my own, but Graham Potter over at Kaizen Bonsai in the UK makes this amazing pre-made potting mix that he puts together himself, and it is a really nice mix. I really like the sort of fine bark granules, and I'm finding it harder and harder to get hold of this sort of stuff now. And in here you've got a lot of finely graded bark chippings, you've got a bit of molar clay in there as well, a little bit of soil as well. So the balance between good drainage but a little bit of moisture retention as well is just perfect with this stuff. And so I'd much rather just buy a big bag of this from Graham than it is to spend the time and effort to put one together for myself, and it is quite difficult to get hold of just the right different components. So this is what I'm going to be using for most of my bonsai repotting this year, and yeah, so we're going to use some of this now. I'm just going to get my pot here to get a scoopful, just because it's going to be easier to get it out like that than it is to get it out of this big box. So I'm going to move this to one side. So the pot has got a little hole in it here, as all bonsai pots do. So best thing to do is put a bit of gauze in there just to stop too much falling through. I've just taken this out of another bonsai pot that I've got to speed things up a little bit, but basically it's just a little bit of plastic gauze, and there's a bit of wire in there, which means you can put it through there and then just push the tabs out either side just to keep it in place. Nice and simple. So, put a little bit in the bottom to begin with. Now let's have a look at this guy. This is the first time I'm going to see the roots of this one. It's really loose medium in here, so it will come out nice and easy. You can see how loose this compost is. Actually, there's more root in here than I expected. I thought there would be a relatively small amount. I'm just very carefully manipulating the roots to get the soil out from in between it. Try not to break any. As you can see, there are 2 separate plants here. That one has a lot less root ball than this one, and this looks a bit more interesting. I'll tell you what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to separate them just so they can have their own pots and we can just keep an eye on them. So I'm going to take a little bit of that soil out for a moment. I can lay it long ways so you can encourage the roots to spread out horizontally rather than going down in a deep pot. Ultimately we want it to be a bonsai, so having lots of wide roots is going to be better for us. So looking like that will be good. Oh, there's a leaf that's dropped off there, so we'll take that out. Now I'll just put that soil back in again. That looks slightly more interesting rather than the nursery pot, doesn't it? Let's see if I can get you a better look. There we go. I think it looks quite cute in there, and as we've got two separate plants, I've got another slightly smaller pot there that I can put the other one in. So let's get him in the ground as well. Another bit of gauze for the hole. There we go. Two cute little bonsai starters in their own pots. They've got a little bit more room to get the roots in the ground now, and I shall keep looking after them and watering them, and hopefully over this summer we can get some growth on them and we'll see how they go. So if you're following along with this Portulacaria project, I'd love to see your own cuttings and how they're getting on. So you can send me a picture on Instagram. If you look for me, Houseplant Hacks, you can send me a message via direct messenger or post it up on your own account and tag me, and I'll see it that way as well. But I'd love to see how you're getting on with your guys, and I'll do some more updates of these two in the future, as well as the big guy here as well. I was going to have to do a repot and some pruning on him too. So thanks for watching this video. I hope you found it interesting. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. I would appreciate that. But that's it for now. I'll catch you very soon on another video. Bye for now.